Hey girl, welcome to the Feminine Founder Podcast, where we're all about learning and growing professionally so that we can build a life that we are proud of and really love. My name is Caroline, and I'm a social media marketing expert, obsessed with teaching female entrepreneurs how to start, grow, and scale their personal brand and business online. This podcast is all about sharing our stories and learning from each other on how to navigate our professional journey so that we can live our best lives. So if you're just starting your entrepreneurial journey, or if you are growing and scaling an epic company, you are in the right place, friend. Today, I have Amy Griffin with me. Amy is the Pinterest marketing queen. She works with entrepreneurs to help them start, grow, and scale their personal brands and business, specifically on Pinterest. She's a business owner, she's a speaker, and a podcast guest. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting. I was like, of course I'm coming.
So for those of you listening, Amy is the Pinterest queen, and she and I met in a live networking group in Charleston a couple months ago, and I'm really fascinated with the work that she's doing, and I love the work that she's doing. So tell me about where you are now and how did you get there?
Okay, Caroline, that's a big question to start with. Where am I now? I'm on podcasts of people introducing me as the Pinterest queen. I have not taken that title for myself, but I'm happy to accept it from everybody else. I started Pinterest marketing a number of years ago. I honestly found out I was losing my job, and I drove home in tears the whole time and opened up my laptop and Googled how to work from home with no experience. That's just how I felt. And I was just done working for someone else and having them like dictate my schedule, and just that unpredictability of just not knowing what's coming next. And so started researching and found out all about this Pinterest marketing gig. And I'm like, is that for real? Is that a thing? And it's so interesting because it's taken every bit of those almost 4 years to get to this point. Like any other entrepreneur can relate. Nothing is an overnight success. Where I'm at now, and people see me where I'm at now, I remember every single hurdle that it's taken to get here. So yeah, I started doing all the things to help other female business owners, but Pinterest became my most requested service. And I think it's something that even still now, people have a lot of questions about. They don't really know how it works. And so that's what I'm busy doing, teaching everybody how to use it to grow their business.
Okay, you're enlightening me and listeners because I want to learn more about Pinterest, because I thought it was just like a DIY recipe website. I had no idea the power it had when it comes to marketing.
Yes.
So unpack that.
It's honestly the biggest not so secret weapon anymore, because I'm trying to make sure everybody knows about it, so it's not so much of a secret. But at the end of the day, Pinterest is a visual search engine, and the data is recently showing that people are going to Pinterest over going to Google because of the way that they are personally using Pinterest. They know that each time they do a search result, it's going to be much more custom based on their previous searches. So it's beyond Google in that it's much more custom. So the thing with marketing is that there's like so many elements that go into what makes a great pin. But if we think back to what you said initially about the DIY and the recipe thing, actually, when you and I search for an easy dinner recipe for tonight, an easy chicken dinner, slow cooker dump, right? I'm like, I don't want as least steps as possible. If you and I did that search today, the top searches would be years and years old. And so the pins that you create continue to last for years to come and continue to drive traffic to your site or your service, your podcast episode, whatever it is, for years to come. Unlike these other social platforms, I just tried to post a reel this morning and it didn't even work. Like the stuff wasn't on there. And I'm like, oh, just forget it. I know no one's even going to see it. And by tomorrow, everyone's forgotten, right? It's like, it's just a whole different, it's not a social media platform. It's a whole different thing. It's a visual search engine. So the power of the pins lasting forever, plus the SEO piece, is a game changer for marketing.
So you talked about this when we spoke at the event in May about you can have a regular account, and then for marketing, you really need to have a business account.
Yes. So one of the initial things that I always do when I'm working with clients is that I want you to put yourself in as a pinner, right? Like us personally, when we're using our account, think about how we're engaging on the platform. But then I need you to step out and think about being on Pinterest as a business owner. And it's kind of like opening up your own shop. So the difference is if you and I were opening up our shop and we were promoting our own products, I'm not going to have everyone else's stuff in my store, right? So if it's your own business account, I want to make sure that you're only pinning your own content that is pushing to your site. Oftentimes people have kind of grown a Pinterest account over the years and they've pinned all these other people's things. I've had a client come to me that was getting over 250,000 impressions a month and was like, Amy, but it's not growing my business. And there's the first thing, as soon as I logged in, looked at her analytics. Yeah, she was getting 250,000 impressions and it looked like there was thousands of outbound clicks. But when you switch the toggle to say claimed accounts, which means what of those pins is actually going to her website, zero. None of them. Because none of the pins, she was pinning other people's content. None of the pins were actually doing anything to drive traffic to her site. So she's been a fun project to work with. Don't worry, now she's getting traffic to her site. But at the beginning, right, you could look at these numbers from an outsider and be like, wow, like they have all these impressions. What's going on? And that was it. They were pinning other people's stuff. They were thinking more as a user and not as a business owner.
Okay, so let's dive into what is the secret formula to Pinterest. Do you need to be posting on there every day? What types of things pin that you do well? I don't even know how to pin. I need to figure out how to pin first off.
Okay.
I used to know how to pin.
Okay, so let's think, I'm going to think in your terms of LinkedIn. It is important to be consistent. For the algorithm, you do need to be consistent. In years past, Pinterest managers would be like, you need to pin 5 to 10 times a day. That's a bunch of rubbish. And I can tell you of the hundreds of people that I've worked with, we only pin once a day. We only do once a day. And at that event that you and I spoke at, one of the business owners said that she'd scale back to 4 times a week and she was still seeing significant growth. So the recent Pinterest education is like at least weekly, but if you really want to grow, stick to every single day. Now, your other question was, what am I actually pinning? For me, one of the main things is to initially look at like, what are we working with in terms of your content, right? Like, what are you already making? Because to be able to keep up with another platform and to pin every single day, this needs to be sustainable. So what are you already doing? What are you already putting out there? But also, what's the goal? At the end of the day, like if we're going to embrace another platform, like what are we trying to push this traffic to? Because every single pin, part of the makeup of it is that there's an end destination. Think about yourself as a user. Every time you've clicked on a pin, you click out to something, you click out to a website. So we always want to know, what is the end goal before we even create something beautiful to look at? What is the URL that we're working with? So again, that varies dependent on the client and the business, depends on the goals for the time, right? Are we driving traffic to grow an email list? Are we trying to get podcast listens? Are we trying to sell a particular product? Maybe it's a blog post that's got a lot of affiliate links, things like that. So it's like, what's the end goal initially? And then from there, we work backwards. One of the other things to really think about in terms of what am I actually putting up needs to be your keyword research, because it is a visual search engine optimization, SEO. That's like where I nerd out the most. And the coolest thing about this is that every single time I'll do a keyword research for a client, we're going to see exactly what they're searching for. For example, if we were searching for LinkedIn advice, there might be a way that people are talking about that on another platform, but on Pinterest, because the user is that DIY kind of mindset, right? They still have that in them. One of the things that they're typing in that they're actually searching for, so then we can use those keywords on your pins and in the pin title and description to make sure that, Caroline, you're the only option. You're the only LinkedIn expert. So the way that you and I say Pinterest queen, LinkedIn expert, they're not searching for us that way, but they are searching how to make a pin, how to show up on LinkedIn, how many times to post on LinkedIn a week, right? They are searching those certain things. So it's a combination. What are your goals? But also, what are they searching for? And then the actual like making a cute pin is easy, I promise. That's like the least important thing, right? It's the same as us as humans. The way you look is the least interesting thing about you.
You know what? And that's funny you say that because that's literally the number one thing people get like all worked up about and everything. It's just like this podcast. I used to be all professional and makeup and hair, and like I don't do that anymore. I don't care. Like I'm here showing up and like producing, and like that's what matters.
Yeah, exactly. And let's be honest, like pinners are here to take action, right? So it's not about followers. I actually just put this on LinkedIn this morning. Totally unhinged. I like totally got off the track of I was on LinkedIn every week because of you. And then this week I was like, you know what, there's too much going on in life. And that's what I love, is because we can take a little break and we can get back to it. But Pinterest is not dependent on the amount of followers that you have. So there's no DMs, there's no like need to show up on stories. None of that. Like they're going to see your pin and be like, yeah, I need to learn from Caroline. Like I need to listen to that podcast episode. I need to read whatever piece of content she's got out. I need to hire her ultimately.
That is seriously so awesome. And it literally is the same thing as LinkedIn. Like the posts you put out on LinkedIn, they hang out for forever. And yes, you need to be consistent if you want to grow and scale. But I mean, I even scaled back on LinkedIn. I'm 4 days a week, just like your client. It's just, I was burning out a little bit on it, but still 4 days a week, I'm still getting over 200 followers a week.
Wow, that's incredible. You are the LinkedIn queen.
Okay, you heard it, guys. You got the LinkedIn queen and the Pinterest queen on this podcast here.
Yay! What a combo.
Yeah, this episode's gonna blow up.
Yeah, I think so. And rightly so. Honestly, we're just here to help as many people. I think in this day and age, as female founders, something I'm trying to be a little bit more transparent about, it's not easy. And, you know, the days of these other platforms, like I know one of the things you say is LinkedIn is like Instagram was 4 or 5 years ago. Like I said, I tried to post that reel. The text wasn't even on screen. I thought that was like a 2021 issue. Like we're still doing that? Like, come on, guys. But people are just so pressured to show up on all these other platforms. And one of the things I love also about Pinterest is that 8 in 10 people say that they turn to Pinterest to feel positive. So, and they still feel that after they've been scrolling compared to how they feel on other apps. So that also plays into strategy of what you're putting out and the way, like the tone of your content on there to continue to contribute to a positive place. So it's an enjoyable place to market. It really, really is. And it's awesome to see all of this traffic coming from a single pin that you made 6 years ago. Like there's no better way to be like, I'm going to take a nap right now because that pin is working for me.
That's so awesome because I literally preach about this about LinkedIn. Like there's no stories, there's no trending, whatever, fill in the blank. There's no like trending audio, hashtags. Like it's literally, you just show up and post.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love what I'm learning from you is the community piece and the engagement piece and just getting to meet people that you never would have thought of that you got to meet. One thing with Pinterest is that you never have to see your competitors, which I think is really nice. Because unfortunately, some other apps can be a little bit loud. And everyone's like, look what I just did. And look what else I just did. But you never have to do that. You don't have to follow. You don't have to engage or anything like that, which gives you your time back, right? Because you could schedule it out. On Pinterest, you can schedule out a month in advance, like within the Pinterest app. But on other schedulers, you could schedule out many, many more months in advance if you wanted to. And literally not open the app again.
That's literally insane in all the most amazing ways.
It really, really is. Like, and then you're like, oh, and that pin is popping off, and it was months ago.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna join Pinterest. I've tried like the YouTube thing, and I have a good friend, and she's a YouTube star, and we've met and had a session and everything. And I was like, man, I just don't know about it, but I think Pinterest is more approachable for me.
Let's take a quick break.
For those of you that didn't know, I recently launched a digital marketing agency specifically tailored to help you grow your personal brand and business on LinkedIn. My digital marketing service is a white glove, done for you solution, which means I'll be fully supporting your growth on LinkedIn. Services include creating custom content for you, coming up with a LinkedIn strategy, engagement, direct messaging management, and customer acquisition targeting. So if you're interested in learning more, send me a direct message on LinkedIn. I'd love to learn more about you and how I can best support you.
It really depends, right? We don't have to be in all the places, no matter what people are telling us. We don't actually have to show up in all places. And sometimes we just find out what works. I have someone who came to me who is the exact opposite of you. She was considering going into Pinterest and going into YouTube, and then she just gave it the same amount of time. And for her, energetically wise, YouTube was her place, and Pinterest just wasn't. She likes to be seen. She likes the engagement. And Pinterest, I always joke, Pinterest is a little bit more like cat people.
So talk to me about the actual pins. Like, for example, on LinkedIn, people are there to learn. And so talking about what you do as the expert, being a thought leader is the type of content that really does really well. What type of content does really well on Pinterest?
Okay, so is it okay if I just use your business as the example?
Go for it.
Okay, so for you, it would be mostly like the biggest thing for us is not just impressions, it's outbound clicks. So within the pin, how can we use some text overlay to make it obvious what the pin is leading to encourage people to take action? So if we encourage them that they know that they're going to learn something in this podcast episode, then with the pin graphic, we can let it know that it's a podcast episode and that they definitely want to take action. Like, listen today or wherever you get your podcast. And obviously the URL link could go straight to the episode. But if you had a blog post about that episode, and we could look at what are so many ways to say the same thing, right? That's where keyword research comes in. There are so many ways to literally talk about the same thing, right? It's like, it's not just LinkedIn tips, it's LinkedIn advice, it's how to post on LinkedIn. Like that all falls under the same umbrella of talking about the same thing, really. But it's just learning what the Pinterest users are searching for, like what are their wording. So I would definitely advise to have text overlay to make it obvious, and then a clear call to action. But in terms of images, there's a couple of roles. They want you to have no more than 3 fonts. So anyone who's ever done branding for their business, just make sure that there's consistency in your branding, because I want people to be able to see these pins and go, that's a Caroline pin. Like I know that belongs to Caroline, right? And they, oh yeah, I love that podcast episode before. Here's another one, I got it. And the hope, honestly, is that someone finds your pin, finds your podcast, and is like hooked for life, and they're subscribing, and like, you're good to go. But yeah, with your pins, you want to make sure it's consistent so they recognize you. Make sure you always have, your branding, your logo, your website on that. Text overlay is really important. But aside from the actual image, you have a pin title and a pin description, and these are not like captions. These are key places to tell the algorithm people are searching for this search term. This is what this pin is about. So you need keywords in your pin title, pin description. Then obviously you have that URL. Remember I talked about what's the end goal, what's this pin leading to. You have it on a pin board. So if you want to think about yourself as a personal user on Pinterest, we have boards galore, and it's like bedroom renovation and bathroom inspiration and probably stuff from years and years ago that we're like, wow, I can't believe that was my style all those 10 years ago. Think about that in a business perspective. You could create as many boards as you want, just like rooms in your house. You could have as many boards as you want. So the pin needs to live in a board. And then one more thing that they added last year was tagged topics. And again, that's just another place you can tag up to 10 that you can tell the algorithm, this is the umbrella that this category, right? If they're searching for this, then how can we promote, how can we send this pin to those people? So there's a lot of like puzzle pieces of what make up a pin.
Yeah, no, this is super helpful because I have the same conversations about people when I'm coaching them or teaching them about LinkedIn, is that we always have to have, you got to show up, number one, but you got to assign an image with the caption. And LinkedIn is pushing video, which everyone resisted, but we don't need to resist it anymore. Just do it. But I literally sometimes just like repurpose stuff I put on Instagram I'll just like get in the edits app, plug in the videos really quickly, and then it saves in my phone, and then I'll just upload it to LinkedIn too. But people, they want to feel like, what's it like to experience you? Is it like that on Pinterest?
Not so much. Again, just with the history of how people have been pinning, thinking back to those DIYers and those recipe finders, they couldn't care less who you are. They just know they're going to get something if they click through, and they're not following you. They don't have a habit of finding your pin, clicking through to your profile, looking through all of your boards, which works in our favor as a business owner. But just they are much used to getting something. They are much used to clicking through and getting what they need. So yeah, there's much less pressure for us to show up necessarily. To be honest, you could do a pin that led to your homepage, and it would be a really interesting strategy test to do an image of you versus an image of, with text overlay about tips for how to grow on LinkedIn, and see which one actually did the most. And fortunately for us, probably the one that had text overlay and not our face is actually the one that's going to do the most.
That's so wild to me.
Yeah, it's more like the history of the app. And I was with a very large marketing firm recently, and I derailed their entire strategy because I told them that most pinners don't scroll with sound on. And that just, I really threw a spanner in the works for them, because they have this whole campaign that they're about to launch for a very, very, very large tech company. And I said, oh yeah, pinners don't scroll with sound. And the other thing is that you can do video, but current habits, most pinners, when they see a video, they think it's an ad, and so they keep scrolling. They're not actually engaging. Like if you and I actually posted a video versus a static pin, you would get a lot of impressions on the videos because it would just be playing, you get a lot of views, but actual engagement would be much stronger on the static post. So I just destroyed their whole campaign. I was like, well, that's why you should have hired me before you started, but that's a problem for another day.
People default to that Facebook, Instagram marketing thing, and they don't think about maybe it's not. There's a different way you can do things,
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what I keep telling people, as much as I want you to think about yourself as the business owner promoting on Pinterest, I need you to also step into the shoes of the pinner and think about yourself and your personal experience. So sometimes that's a bit of a disconnect if we've not been using Pinterest ourselves. I hear that all the time. People are like, oh, I've never even thought to search for my business. That should be people's number one step. If they're listening to this today going I have no idea, should my business be on Pinterest? Just open it up and search for your niche, right? Search. And the coolest thing is, most of the time I tell people to do this, they feel so inspired because the pins that are up there are rubbish. They're a bunch of rubbish. They're so old. And they're still getting them traffic. That chick's mortgage is still getting paid based on those pins she made 6-7 years ago. And you're looking at it going, I have a lot more better advice. Or the advice could be outdated. And you're like, no, I'm going to come in, I'm going to be the LinkedIn queen, and I'm going to dominate. So that is always my number one tip. Just open it up first and search. It's the only time I ever want you to look at your competitors. And after that, we don't need to bother, but it's definitely inspiring to see it.
Let's talk about repurposing content. How many weeks of content do you need before you can repurpose?
How many weeks of content? I think people don't realize how much they already have to work with. For example, I'm doing a strategy build right now. She has 26 podcast episodes. She also put those on YouTube. She also made a blog post that had the YouTube video embedded, and the podcast goes to Apple and Spotify. So that one podcast episode has given me 4 URLs to work with, just one episode. From that, I could create multiple designs that are templates. So think about how you would repurpose this podcast episode, right? You're going to put a post about it that's static. You're probably going to do a little voice note of us. You're probably going to do a video of us. You're probably going to do a carousel of quotes, right? So just from that one podcast episode, I have multiple URLs to work with. Pinterest cares about a different user experience. So that's genius that I can send them to different URLs to the same one piece of content. And then I could create a number of different templates. So with other podcasters, sometimes we just want to see, sometimes I know on a podcast platform, you just have one podcast cover, but on Pinterest, people like cute things. So we could go into Canva and steal those templates and customize them to your branding and just see, do they want the blue one or the pink one, right? Do they want the one that's got the face? Do they want the one that's just got the text? You can just have fun with it and see which one. But yeah, in terms of how many weeks, I can't really give a number because the biggest thing for me is like fitting it in with what you're already doing. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed because you have to sustain this. So it takes about 4 to 6 months to take off. So I just want to know that at like month 5, when every single person messages me and goes, this isn't working, that you still have it to like keep going, because it really takes off between 6 to 12 months. That's when we really start cooking. Mm-hmm. But if you just did like 3 weeks and then you bailed for 3 months, it's going to take forever.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said this, because I literally have the same conversation every single time with people. They look at my stuff from the outside and they're like, oh, shiny, whatever, fill in the blank. They have no idea the hard work and like the post I did that flopped, or like whatever I did that didn't work. And the only reason literally this podcast is ranking, I love my podcast, I'm obviously biased, but the number one reason it's at 3% globally is because I just kept going.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, can you repeat that? What percentage globally?
You just got to keep going, and it is hard. Those of you listening to this, it's not easy. It's not easy to put yourself out there online. I don't care what platform we're talking about. It's not easy. You're very exposed. People have things to say. Sometimes they're not nice. But guess what? Those are not your people.
They're not. And you know, I know this is not necessarily Pinterest related, but I know that this is for all female founders, well, entrepreneurs in general. You know what's really crazy is that when you start doing well, the people that have known you the whole time didn't have anything. They didn't have anything good to say. So, yeah. Now you're doing good. Now they want a piece of the pie. And I'm like, and I remember. I know.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is my life. Like, what was like, oh, how's your little podcast doing? Is like, how did you do it? And I'm like, if you think I didn't forget about your condescending little comments, I did not forget.
Yeah, exactly. There are your day ones, right? That believed in you from the start. And then I don't know we shouldn't give them this much attention, but there's the exact opposite of a day one who's actually been creeping the whole time.
No, I'm so glad you brought this topic up, because it seriously gets me like on fire, because, and this journey too, I don't know about for you, I'd love to hear your experience, but who I thought would be like a fan or a supporter or whatever, like they don't text me, they're proud of me, like keep going, keep shining, like crickets. Yeah. And it's like, they don't even ask about like my podcast or anything I'm doing. It's like, we all know this is what's going on.
Yeah, there is literally nothing better than, I know you and I technically met in person, but I think we were probably following each other online before that, but there's literally nothing better than someone you meet online that will support you like to the end compared to people that you really know. Well, you thought you know. You thought you knew. But yeah, it's fascinating. Like, and you've got to overcome that and mute that, right? And like stick to, like, there's so many of your podcast episodes that when I'm feeling that way, I listen to your podcast and you just like fire me up. Like, yes, let's just keep going, ignore these people. But it's true, like some of these people can just be so loud and you have to just like turn that volume down on that. I was just working with someone who I'd met through our networking group. She told me this thing called a pink sparkle folder. I literally have it here on my desk. And she said, every week, I want you to print out your testimonials and your good comments and your stats and client results and things like that, and put them in your folder so that every week you remind yourself of like what you're doing, because sometimes these other voices can get pretty loud.
I love that you said that. I need to get a pink sparkle folder.
Yeah, I was surprised at how much it costs on Amazon, but it's worth it.
You sparkle away.
Yeah, I was like, wow, it's been a long time since I bought a school folder. I guess they have gone up in price.
Okay, so what is lighting you up with some of the clients that you're working with right now?
Okay, I just did a strategy client for someone local. And that's something that's always a challenge for people when they think about SEO is like, okay, but how can I show up on this platform that's technically worldwide and actually see success locally? And when I did her keyword research, she was ecstatic to see her biggest competitor in this area doesn't even live here. They are getting flown in to work here. So basically, on this app, she has zero competition. Like the second that she starts posting, she's going to be the top choice. Not only that, but the second I handed off her strategy, so I build it all and then I teach you how to do it and you sustain it yourself. She went to a town right away. Like that's the stuff that lights me up. That they're like, I'm getting it, I'm excited, and I just want to implement right away. And I think part of my journey and my work has been always trying to figure out like how to help you guys, like how to meet you where you're at and help you keep going. And some of us need a little bit more hand holding than others. But the clients that come in and they see it and they're just like, this time next year, this will be my biggest moneymaker. Those are my favorites. I think it's just exciting that they see it and they can see the potential and then they just get to work.
So how can our listeners find you?
Well, most people follow me on Instagram because I'm quite unhinged. It's at amy.time. But they can go on my website, amytime-va.com. I initially started out as a VA and that was the website domain I took and I've kept it. I'm not ashamed that I started out that way, but it's all part of the story. I'm on LinkedIn now and on Pinterest, but if you really want most of the juice, it's on my Instagram, and then I'll link you to everything else.
And I'll put everything in the show notes. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.